As I clutch my cross, it's time to rank the Omen series. What's going on, people? Alex Thorn here, and I'm just a rock and roller who in his downtime likes to watch movies while wearing a bandana. And this time we are ranking the Omen series. Over the last month and a half, I have taken time out to sit down and watch this entire series for the first time. I didn't watch it ever before. Literally for this channel, you guys chose it. I started to watch the Omen series leading up to the very new first Omen. So let's get to it. Let's talk about all 6 of the Omen movies, from worst to best. Coming in dead last is the Omen 4, The Awakening. Now, guys, you all knew this was probably going to be dead last. If you're a fan of the series, then you definitely knew this was going to go way behind, because this movie is just done so cheap and it is just so boring. If you've seen part 1 and if you've seen the remake, which you don't need to see the remake if you've seen part 1, the same thing can be said about part 4. It's the exact same thing. This time, instead of being born of a jackal, now you have Damien's daughter going once again to a political family that they really hammer down on. And the biggest difference being budget. And now we have a daughter instead of a son. And that's it. That is the only difference between these movies, because admittedly so, the ending of the movie tries to bait you with, continuing the series somehow by giving Delia a twin. But this movie is so bad. The kills are so cheap. The little girl is so ugh. And just nothing about the delivery of what's on screen is good. I thought the story was decent. Like, we know the sequels are just retellings of the original movie, and there's going to be a ton of callbacks trying to do the same thing that the original movie did. But this movie just doesn't deliver on any of it. Coming in at number 5 is going to be the Omen Remake 2006. Suffers from the exact same problem as Omen for The Awakening. There's no heart to it. It's almost a shot-for-shot remake of the first film. And all it does is bring it up to date with newer actors and newer film technology, right? Because the original was shot on 35mm film. This is just super clean. I did not like the actors or the actresses in this movie. I thought the child who played Damien did pretty much the same thing. I'll actually link it up here right above that I did the first episode of the Versus series on Omen 1976 versus 2006, and this just doesn't have any of the magic of the original. It tries to bring some new ideas in by giving flashbacks, and you can see flashbacks or weird imagery of the jackal, which is just a person in a mask, unfortunately. It changes some of the scenes because I think, as a society we were more sensitive to certain things, so it changes some of them. And then also for sake, it does it. There's like one cool thing about this movie, and it's the death of the priest. That was it. The death of the priest is way gnarlier in the 2006 version than it is in the 1976 version, but outside of that, there's really no reason to watch this movie if you have seen the original. And even if you haven't, why start there? Coming in at number 4 is where you may disagree with me. The Omen II Remake. I just could not get into this movie. It started out great. The first few scenes of this movie, which also I wanted to ask you guys, does anybody know if this movie was originally supposed to come out in 3D? Because if not, the way Shout Factory remastered this literally makes it look like it was supposed to be 3D. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But this movie, to me, just doesn't move the story forward. There's little things that it gives you that are interesting, but they don't follow up on them. I think the biggest, most confusing thing to me was anybody who even looked at Damien in this movie died. It's weird. Like, there used to be this thing where he could stare at you, and that'll kill somebody. And if they were onto him, Obviously, there would be reasons for him to kill somebody, but he really didn't know he was doing it. In this movie, there's one emotional scene where he finds out who he is from Lance Henriksen, former orphan as well as a Satanist, and he's there to protect him. I guess instead of having the babysitter, we have Lance Henriksen. And guys, in my opinion, this movie just falls short of everything it tries to do. There's one really cool kill in it, maybe two, but really just one, the one with the elevator scene. There's a nice emotional spot in it where Damien finds out that he's the Antichrist and he's like, why me? And he does this running thing. Then after that, immediately he just accepts it. I thought that this movie was made for TV, much like Part 4, just because it skips out on a lot of gore that you think would be there. But I just never felt this movie. It starts out strong and then it just goes too long and just doesn't do enough. Coming in at number 3, The Omen 3, The Final Conflict, starring Sam Neill. This movie, to me, moved the series forward like it should. Not saying that Part 2 couldn't have been what it was, like just, bringing it 7 years later. I thought that was cool too. But this movie actually achieves what it sets out to do, which is now Damien is officially in politics like he's meant to be. He's calling in shots to become higher up the food chain and to influence the children. There's some really, really wild scenes in it. The first death that they finally bring the dog back, it's really, shocking. Like, whoa, is this where this movie's going? And it goes there, and it keeps on going. There's only one boring scene with dogs in it, but outside of that, it's a ton of footage of Damien accepting who he is, using that influence, and then there's a bunch of monologue scenes where he is not only recruiting Satanists, but he's also like talking to God. It's a good movie. It's a very good ending to the trilogy. Now, does that ending end with a boom? No, it doesn't. It's a very limp ending. And there's a lot of loopholes there that they don't follow up on in Part 4 because there's 7 daggers and he only gets stabbed with 1 and it just kills his mortal self. There's still 6 daggers left. I don't know if that was going to be followed up on. I don't know if that's in the books. I have no clue. But is this movie so much better than Part 2? Oh, yeah. Coming in, number 2 is the brand new First Omen. This movie at first had me confused because it just played out like any other religious horror movie that has come out in the last 15 to 20 years. And it also made me question, because of the day and age that we're in, why are we looking at women again? Like, now we're talking about women, really? And then it clicked. Duh, we're following Damien's mother. It is called The First Omen. So once all of that nonsense left my brain, I let myself immerse in the movie and what it was doing. There are a couple callbacks to the original that feel a little forced, but outside of that, this movie has a lot of shocking imagery. This movie left me and my 12-year-old kid feeling very uncomfortable, and maybe I was a little bit more uncomfortable because I was with my son and I didn't expect this movie to be that gruesome and have scenes like that. But I love what this movie does from, I would say, the middle of the movie going forward. That's when it really starts to ramp up. And it doesn't just ramp up in the last 20 minutes. It ramps up in like the last 40 minutes or so. And that's really good. There's some incredible scenery with the lead nun, the lead character in this movie, that is like as emotionally, she had to be spent doing it. And I don't want to give away too much. This is a ranking, but this is not a spoiler for this particular movie. At the end of the movie, in my opinion, it does a very Omen 4, The Awakening type of twist that I don't care for in order to set up the movie for further sequels. But if you take that out of the equation and you just give it the whole first half, man, this movie's good. And finally, coming in at the best Omen in the entire series is the original 1976 Omen. I mean, every single actor in this movie nails it. Not only that, but for something that is, so old at this point, it actually looks really good. Shout Factory, if you watch this on Hulu or if you actually buy the Blu-rays, they look incredible. This movie just doesn't feel old like that. The acting feels old for sure. Jeremy Peck, I believe is his name, and his wife, they do far better than the remake actors do. But, you know, also Damien. Damien does such a great job as far as being an innocent child and then having moments where he looks evil, but it's not like he's menacing from every single time you see him on the screen. And then when it finally comes to the end where you have to make this decision to actually take out your own child, it's your child because you've been raising it, it's very tough. And Damien doesn't deliver those lines like he's trying to manipulate his father, even though you know that's what's happening. He delivers those lines like a child who doesn't want to get hurt by his father. And the ending of the movie is really unlike anything you've seen up to that point. Usually you want a very satisfactory ending where the evil dies and then maybe pops up back at the end. No, evil lives in this movie, which is why we got 6 sequels, and which is why The Omen lives on as the best version of this movie that exists. Guys, this was my first time ever watching any of these movies, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was such a great thing, and it all spawned from one comment that one subscriber or viewer left when I did my first Omen trailer. And he said, you know, I like you a lot, but I really wish you would do some more research before you spout off whatever you're saying because you don't know the lore. I took that as a personal challenge to sit my ass down and watch every movie so I understood the lore. I even went and watched other guys' reviews to see how they explained it, if they could explain it better than I was understanding it. So that when it came to this video and when it came to just, you know, watching the series again, talking about it with other fans, I know what I'm talking about. So thank you to that particular person who left that comment. And thank you to each and every one of you, because this channel now is a YouTube partner. That's right. You guys made it happen. My consistency, which I was shocked that I was able to do 200 videos in less than 2 years. I've had so many YouTube channels over the years and none of them ever hit YouTube partner or the success that this has. Obviously something's clicking and I can't wait to build this Thorn community. I have just opened up YouTube memberships, so there's a ton of cool things that are coming to those, and you guys got to check it out, because from this point going forward, that rocket ship is going straight into the moon. You know what I'm talking about? You didn't think I was gonna let this video end without announcing the winner of the Omen DVD giveaway, did you? Of course, it's that time. And I gotta say, before I announce you, thank you for commenting, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking my videos. Sammy's Camera. That's right, you have your own channel, and I wish you best of luck. I just hit YouTube partner, and I hope you hit YouTube partner as soon as possible. Enjoy this journey. Don't get discouraged. Keep on reviewing and having fun on YouTube. But Sammy's Camera, hit me up on Facebook Messenger. There is a Thorn Theater page there. So hit me up there and we'll exchange information so I can get that DVD out to you as soon as possible. Again, Sammy's Camera, you're the winner. And thanks, brother. Guys, I'm Alex Thorn. Let me know down below what's your ranking of the Omen series. Do you agree or disagree with me? Let's talk about it. Let's keep all this positivity going. You know what I gotta do. I gotta rock out so I can watch some movies and review them for you.